me a few minutes trying to check to make sure we're on. We'll be starting the show shortly. Thank you for joining us on Facebook Live. We haven't done a Facebook Live for a while, and it's time for the Facebook community to join us. Share, share, share. Going to be a good show tonight. Make sure you share this out. We'd like lots of viewers to view this show. It's Sandy Goes to Standing Rock. You know, AOC. Pretty interesting information. We'll be bringing it up real quick. Get some folks in here. Going to be a few more minutes. We just want to keep the music up, let people join us. I'm having a little trouble actually seeing us on Facebook. I want to make sure we're actually streaming. There we are. There we are. I don't know why I couldn't see it, but we're on. You got me.
I got you. I'm all set. You want to go?
All right. Go. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Almost. I am now.
And this is Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And tonight, I have what will become a series of shows about Sandy at Standing Rock. And by Sandy, I mean Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You may not have known, her name is Sandy. Yeah, Sandy, like in Greece. Sandy, like, oh, Sandy, baby. That's Sandy. Yes, like Sandy. But you know, I couldn't figure it out. I was like, so she called herself Sandy. Everyone knew her as Sandy. People still refer to her as Sandy when she's at Standing Rock.
Yeah.
And she responds to Sandy while she's at Standing Rock and even beyond. But when she comes out to the world as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she is a politician. She is campaigning. When she is introduced to us, she's not introduced to us as Sandy. And I thought right away, all of these things made me go, huh.
Mm-hmm.
And because, you know, like Beto?
Yep.
Beto has more of an excuse to call himself Beto O'Rourke, even though a lot of people feel that's like pandering in some way because his name is Robert O'Rourke. He is Irish?
Okay, yeah.
That's not Latino. Just because you happen to live in Texas and people in Texas, a lot of whom are Latino, use Beto, or you probably heard someone call some Latino Beto whose real name is Robert, doesn't mean that it's not a little bit of pandering when you use that as your official name to run in a campaign. This is kind of the opposite. This is a woman who, by all accounts, her own accounts, she was known as Sandy the bartender. And then all of a sudden, one day her and her bartending buddy decided to go to Standing Rock, and we're supposed to believe this load of malarkey is true. And I'm going to tell you why it is a load, and in my opinion. But I'm not just going to base it on my thoughts. I'm going to show you my receipts. I am going to compile for you on my shows upcoming about AOC information that was not previously known about her and her trip to Standing Rock. I always suspected, ever since I heard that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had gone to Standing Rock in her career, her whole mission, her whole platform as a politician was based on her experience, her birth at Standing Rock. I thought, I want to know all the details. Where are the details? And guess what? They didn't exist. Not in 2016. There was an article, 2 pictures.
Yeah, and I was wondering, is like, where is the details of her being in Standing Rock since she birthed her political career when she was looking out into the sunrise after a sweat with all women. And then we just had like 1 or 2 pictures and no info, and she's in this campaign. She wins her seat. She's part of this group in Washington. Never a mention. And so people even doubted this. We'd report like, she was at Standing Rock. She got started. I said, no, where'd you find that? Now all of a sudden there's hours of videos, articles, pictures, all sorts of information that comes out several years later.
Yes. And I wonder why.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to build your political career off of the renown of having been a water protector at Standing Rock, where are your pictures?
Exactly.
Where are your videos? Why weren't you using your platform, your voice, your videos, your page back then to bring awareness, even in the aftermath of what happened, since many more camps were built after Standing Rock, and many of the people that were involved in Standing Rock then are now involved in the caravans. So
what's going on?
I have been waiting for this moment for a very long time. And now that we have the details, we are going to study them. And by we, I mean you and me. I mean us. I mean, I am asking you to pay attention. I am asking you tonight. I don't usually have to ask, and yet hundreds of people that watch my show spend literally hundreds of hours researching, screenshotting, downloading, etc., to send me information about shows that I've done, and I am so grateful for that. I couldn't do this without you. I am boldly asking for your help tonight. Tonight's show is going to just be an entree, an hors d'oeuvre, if you will, of what we are going to research together and things to come. The reason I am asking all of you to help me, and Nemo is going to be putting in links for you in the comments section so you can go and research each of these things further, is because we have to hoover up this information before it goes dark on us.
Oh, yeah.
We have to get it all out of the interwebs before all of these pages go dark and articles get taken down and YouTube channels get shut. We need to try and get as much of it. I am only one person, so I require your assistance. And there are some of you out there that spend so much time helping me. I want to enlist you now. Please help me check into these individual profiles, which I'm going to be showing you tonight, individual pages, websites, organizations, backgrounds of what those organizations are, and etc. So we're just going to open it, and then we will discuss all of those details in much more depth in shows coming up. But first, I want to ask you to tell people how they can follow us on social media and support our work.
Definitely. Well, welcome to our Facebook Live. As I said during the intro that we haven't done many Facebook Lives lately, but we're back. We owe it to our Facebook community to take some time and broadcast on Facebook, because we have a YouTube community, we have a Facebook community. Some come together and some don't. You know, some people prefer YouTube, some prefer Facebook, but we are broadcasting on a Facebook Live. We're at 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead. We have a couple more pages on Facebook. The People's Press Project, Mexi-Can. If you want to tweet us, you can tweet us at media_PPP. If you want to send emails to us, great way to send attachments and information. You can email Cindy at kpppfm.com, or you can email me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. Also, the kpppfm.com website is our main website for our radio station. We're a non-commercial, community-run radio station in Fargo Moorhead. We broadcast 24 hours a day in Fargo Moorhead. We don't actually stream online. You can only get our radio station through the terrestrial air. It means you're driving around in your car, you can listen to us there. And we put our shows on our kpppfm.com website. So we have a lot of archives there. Not every show that we do on Facebook Live or YouTube is actually broadcast locally. We make decisions, you know, if it's too visual. Sometimes the shows are just so much you have to see. It doesn't make very good listening. Some shows have too many swear words in them, and we can't have swear words going out in the air. I believe this show, I don't think there'll be much swearing, but maybe there will. I think the AOC shows will hit the airwaves, usually within a day after we produce them, to give our listening audience in the Fargo Moorhead region privy information that's being broadcast here on Facebook Live. Now, when you're at the kpppfm.com website, please go to the Donate tab. That's where you can make a donation to our nonprofit that is the owner of our station. Help us raise the funds so we can continue broadcasting, continue the media work we're doing, continue live streaming, and bringing people in the community together to be broadcasters. You can support our work by going to kpppfm.com/donate, make a tax-deductible donation, and we'd really appreciate it, and we appreciate the support, and enjoy the great show tonight.
Yes, and for some of you who are old school and like to write a check, I know that some people, like the lovely lady from a southern state in the U.S., commented that they would prefer to make a donation in the form of a check, and you can go to our website and get instructions on how to do that.
Exactly.
All you got to do is go to kpppfm.com/donate, and it'll tell you how you can manually write us a check and send us a donation, and we will send you a receipt. And again, it's all tax deductible. It's a great way to invest in community journalism, in local reporting, in independent journalists, and write it off at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's nice.
It's great. Also, this format does lend itself better for us to, share links to help people go and do that extra research, that extra reading, that extra work that I am recommending tonight. And YouTube, not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much. So I wanted to start off just by talking to you, Duke, about how weird it was for me to realize that AOC's real name is Sandy.
Yeah.
And that everybody knows her as Sandy. Because I thought she's Puerto Rican.
That's what I thought too.
Isn't that what you knew? What you thought about her? That she's Puerto Rican?
Yeah, that's what's been said before. I didn't follow her a lot, just knew of her, and like we had an interest in her when we saw she was at Standing Rock because there were so many phonies that came out of Standing Rock. And we thought, there's another one. But then, since we didn't have much more information about that after that, I didn't dig very deep.
Okay, well, let me tell you that Latinos in most of Latin-speaking countries, including Puerto Rico, when they abbreviate Alexandria, they would go with Ale or Alex or, not Sandy.
Okay.
That's not something Latino people do with the name Alexandra. They don't shorten it to Sandy. You know who does that, though?
Who does that?
Eastern European people do.
Really?
Yeah, like Ukrainians and Russians and Turks and all of those people. They do. Incidentally, I'm just saying something that's true.
Yeah.
Which threw me off. I was like, why would people in her family shorten her name if they're Latinos? The tendency, they wouldn't even know to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It was something that a friend of mine pointed out because I was like, Sandy? And then I had all these questions. I'm like, oh, was she one of those Latinos that wanted to fit in and she wanted to Angloize her name because Alexandra sounded too Latina and she was bullied. So she decided she would change her name to Sandy, just like, people that have, Muslim names or, African names, they they're just called me Bob, even though like there's no resemblance to Bob in their original name, just to make it easier for Americans to say their name. And I was thinking that, I'm like, is that what's going on here? Is that why she took Alexandria and turned it into Sandy?
Oh, Alexandria.
Because there was no connection for me until someone said, oh, yeah, that's common in Eastern European countries. A lot of Alexanders and Alexandrias are called Sandy for short.
Wow.
In Eastern Europe. But not here. So anyway, I thought that was really, really interesting. Stay with me. Why? Because when I first heard that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's name originally was Sandy, not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and that nobody really knew her like that, was after she had her Times article come out, and I started looking into all of the videos and the Facebook link, her account on Facebook, where she posted all of this information, because it was never known. It wasn't printed. No reporter mentioned that she had a Facebook account called Alex OC. AOC.
Yeah, gotcha.
She self-named herself AOC before she was called AOC.
I see.
It didn't get, the press didn't do that. She auto-named herself AOC. She changed from Sandy to AOC.
Wow.
I'm going to show you in a second. And so I'm like, so she was bartending with this girl that she went to Standing Rock. I'm learning all of this in the article.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you the Times article here, and we'll share the link so you can go and read the whole thing for yourself. We're not going to read it here.
Okay.
In its totality.
Yeah, it's long. It's got a lot of pictures, too.
It's really, really long. It's got a lot of pictures. And it's got a link to the Instagram of her Instagram, and her friend's Instagram as well. The friends that she went with, Joshua and Maria, I believe, is her friend's name. Maria Swisher. And she claims that, in the article, she claims that her and her bartending buddy around this time, they were seeing everyone was really down about everything that was going on in the world, especially the elections. And so they decided, hey, we should go to Standing Rock, or we should go on a road trip to try to connect with people in general and find out what's going on in the brains of Americans and learn about the world. Like a...
Go out there, young lad, and find yourself.
Yeah! Like, she's an innocent hayseed from New York, and she's going to go out into the world and figure it out, and it's all organic. And then the guy, Maria's friend, Josh, he's like, I'll go with you too. And they didn't really even know each other. There wasn't a plan behind this. She wasn't thinking of running for office at the time. It just... That part, when she had this epiphany about, I'm going to go and run for Congress, that was while she was at Standing Rock. That happened at Standing Rock. Yep. After she was in a sweat of all women, and she had been in the sacred ceremony, and she learned about the camp and what they were doing there. It was a transformative experience. And when she was about to leave, she knew that her brother was writing a letter to nominate her to be, to run for Congress. But she didn't think anything would come of it. But that's when she learned that something did come of it. And after everything that she had experienced at Standing Rock and what she learned along the way on a road trip, of course, she knew. Aha! I must serve the people. Except that's not really what happened. That's the story that was concocted by her and her campaign team in order to sell you this Time magazine, the book that they're peddling now with the story of her and those who of this generation or whatever. We'll come to that in a minute.
All right.
But this article is essentially about this propaganda, this fluff piece to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a.k.a. Sandy. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I just want to remind everyone, because I don't think people remember my Standing Rock peeps. Those of you watching, and of course, I hope, sharing my show right now in all those Standing Rock groups and all those Standing Rock Facebook pages, I hope you're sharing this on your page, everybody. I want you to tell me if you can remember when the camp started. Can anybody answer? Standing Rock Camp started in what month?
June or maybe before? April?
April of 2016.
Yeah.
April of 2016, there was snow on the ground. It was cold. There was literally a handful of tents and teepees, and I mean literally. There was hardly no camp. There was no people. There was some, the founders of the camp and some of the media people who went on to report the entire time, like Unicorn Riot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So Unicorn Riot and a handful of people, including those who said, please, with tears in their eyes, please come and stand with the Native people and help us. Like LaDonna.
Yeah.
Who made millions and millions of dollars and continues to go fraud me to ask you to continue to support them. After they lost millions of dollars or, had millions of dollars misappropriated or stolen or what have you. These people to this day are looking for your dollars. But who first reported on this? Because there wasn't a lot of media there. And in an article that came out the day after this Times article about AOC, did you put it up? Did you show it already?
I've been showing it enough, yeah.
It came after, a day, two after this Times article about the book, about the fluff piece book, about her coming out story, was an article about how she used press passes when she was at Standing Rock. Did you know that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was a reporter?
No, they didn't even have a structured way of putting things up for press. in those early days?
Well, she went in December.
Okay.
She went toward the end of the camp, almost when it was closed.
Oh, I see. Yes.
In the cold of December, around the week of Christmas.
Okay.
In fact, she left on the 24th on Christmas Eve. She was like, bolted, gotta go.
Wow.
Uh-huh. So, and she told people, yes, we had to leave because we had other things to do, but you definitely should go down there. As people are getting arrested en masse at the highest numbers that they ever have been. Because toward the closure of the camps, everything escalated to the point where people were constantly getting arrested more and more and more and more. Mm-hmm. And finally, they closed the camps in February of 2017. But who was there before? Who are the first reporters on the ground hanging out with LaDonna, the person that made the first call out to everyone to come to camp, lied about having the rights to the property that the camp was on, so everyone felt safe to come out there, even though it wasn't true. Who was reporting? Russian television.
Oh, yes.
Take a look. This is from March of 2016. A full month before the camp even opened. It was already on Russian television.
Last 3 years, activist groups have been working to stop the Keystone XL pipeline. There's another fight underway in the middle of the country to stop yet another pipeline. The Dakota Access Pipeline would carry natural gas from the Dakotas to Illinois. Native American tribes are in the fight again to stop the project. Alexei Yaroshovsky is in North Dakota tonight and has the story.
Last night, we reported on how the Standing Rock Sioux tribe in North Dakota felt about the Dakota Access Oil Pipeline, the pipeline which has been approved by 4 states involved in constructing this pipeline. The core of the problem, according to the Sioux tribe, was the Missouri River, the fact that the pipeline actually crosses it twice according to the blueprint, and should anything happen with it, the whole water system and the Sioux tribe actually uses the Missouri River for its water source would be polluted. This we would probably call a pragmatic approach as relayed to us by the tribal chief of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. There's also an emotional approach to it. We spoke to one of the landowners in the area. Her family has been here for as long as 6 centuries, and here is what she told us about the prospects of having a pipeline right next to her home.
So my people came to the east side of the river, and they camped there. In 1873, the soldiers came and moved us to this side. So we thought, okay, we begin again. So we started forming our families and recovering. And the Army Corps comes and says, we're building a dam and we're flooding you. So they move my people all off the river and move us up into these communities. Now they're bringing a pipeline. If they put that pipeline right there and it breaks, this is gone. Everything's gone. How many times do we have to begin again in our own country?
Despite that, the Iowa Utilities Board, the last hurdle in approving the pipeline, signed onto it about 10 days ago. The Sioux tribe, the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, still says that there are chances for them to reverse the project, particularly a court decision which may block the crossing of the river by the pipeline in 2 places around this reservation here. We'll see whether that would be the case, and stay tuned for our reports later during the week. We'll bring a more in-depth look on what the Native Americans of North Dakota think about the Dakota Access Pipeline. Alexei Yaroshovsky, RT, reporting from the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe Reservation in North Dakota.
That's who was there first.
Wow.
Russian television. And at the end,
Yeah.
in fact, the day that Christina Hollenbeck, the woman that helped lie to the police and bring false reports to the police so that they would put an innocent Oglala Lakota woman in jail and take away her mother and leave her mother in a Bismarck hospital to die. That in fact put Mary Trujillo in an early grave. Christina Hollenbeck shows up on November 21st, or November 20th, and she is instantly on the next day on Russian television news, calling herself a medic.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
You do remember that?
Of course.
Do you also remember that toward the time that this was all happening, closer to the closure of camps, there was a whole slew of people that showed up, including, of course, the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That in addition to those people, there was a lot of media people that showed up when the veterans came from all over mainstream media, CBS, NBC. Now you had everybody out here.
Yep.
Well, guess who was still here? Russian television news with Samira Khan. You remember Samira Khan?
Oh, yeah,
Sitting at the Prairie Rose Casino with Jordan Sheridan and Francis Fisher. Yes, that Hollywood Francis Fisher. Having some wine. A wine named Josh, like the producer Josh Fox, who was also at this casino. And of course, I want to remind you that Christina Hollenbeck, who worked with Nexus and the UN and the millionaire Marianne Thompson Frank, right?
Yep.
Of the 7-Eleven family fortune, they were working with Wesley Clark Jr. of the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock. They were his funders, supporters, helpers. Christina Hollenbeck was working directly with Phyllis Young, one of the other people, like LaDonna, who were organizers of the camp. And I want to remind folks what Wesley Clark, who is titled in a post by Marianne Thompson Frank, quoting him about being at Standing Rock and what Standing Rock means. It says he was the activist coordinator who organized the U.S. veterans who volunteered at Standing Rock and Flint. Flint, Michigan. By the way, in this Times article and through the journey of AOC to Standing Rock, you will come to learn that on this road trip, she made a number of stops. One, the probably most important one they made, was to Flint, Michigan, where they went and talked to people about the water poisoning that happened there. This was also a location that was turned into a camp right after Standing Rock.
Oh, yeah.
That Wes was supposed to go to. That Wes sidestepped out of, but was supposed to be at, with Evan Duke and Chelsea Lyons Kent, one of the correspondents working with Truth Against the Machine, along with Jordan Sheridan, who started out as a correspondent at Standing Rock with the Young Turks. They were also there.
Yeah.
But this is what, and I'm just reminding you of all of the people that were there, because I want you to realize who AOC, who Sandy went to meet up with at the camp. And I'm going to show you. She was hanging out with those people. The very people that framed Kathleen Bennett and took her mother away. The very people that were working with the security teams that were taking people's equipment, taking people's stove, generators so that they couldn't stay in the camp anymore, shutting the camp down. The very same people that were pushing people out, cleaning camp up. That's who she was with. That's who she was hanging out with. While she told people, go to the camp where everyone is getting arrested at. You can still go to the camp. They still need people to go to the camp.
Yep.
If people sue for what was done to them at the camp, and I'm sure all of these folks were real interested in figuring out whether or not Kathleen Bennett or any of her family was going to have the wherewithal after what they were put through to try and sue them or have the money to do it. But if people did, all of these folks should be checked into and held accountable for their role, including Sandy.
Yep.
Including Sandy. But just remember, This is what Wes put out. This is Wesley Clark Jr. on this period of time and what he was doing for the veterans. He says, the Russian goal, excuse me? The Russian goal, yeah, that's what he just said. Pay attention. The Russian goal is to split the United States apart along racial, ethnic, class, political, and regional lines. Placing Donald Trump on the throne just sped up their plan. What? Powerful nations often defeat themselves. He's talking about the United States.
Yeah.
It was the strategy we used against the Soviet Union, and it is the strategy Putin is using against us. I prefer ugly truths to pretty lies. We've done a lousy job as Americans making our country a better place. We treat politics as a sport or piggy bank rather than the serious endeavor that it is. We worship the rich and powerful who prove to us over and over that the only thing that matters to them is their money and their power. And we continue to discriminate against our fellow Americans for any number of irrational reasons. We are not honest about our past and often against our fellow citizens. We are not honest about our past and the horrible atrocities and injustices that we have committed against our fellow citizens. We continue to hate and fear one another. We are robbing our children of civilization and probably life itself in our suicidal march toward an enemy that cannot be fought with tanks or bought off with gold. The climate.
Oh, really?
We start off with Russians.
Mm-hmm.
Are you following?
Yep.
And now, the climate.
Mm-hmm.
We will always be vulnerable to these lines of attack until America lives up to its promise, liberty and justice for all. If we could live that way just once and truly be our brothers and sisters, our parents, and our children's keepers, we would stop being so scared of the world and actually be the city on the hill, unified, healthy, happy, employed, educated, and invulnerable because nothing could tear us apart. Really? Nothing can tear us apart? Oh my God, Wes. So cheesy.
Yep.
But what you remember and what you should take away is that maybe AOC didn't go out as a noob into the world trying to figure it out with her bestie from the bar and some dude who happens to have a beard. His name is Josh, and he happens to be a photographer, I guess, journalist adjacent, because they decided they would represent, or I should say misrepresent themselves as journalists at Standing Rock, where they admittedly claim there was not a lot of people covering the story.
Yep.
There was not a lot of mainstream media covering the story until Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Wesley Clark, and a whole host of people that showed up in November and December, who are all working in tandem, by the way, who are all working together, by the way. Maybe it was the haze and the propaganda that they had already planned and organized in advance of this charade. They used North Dakota as a damn movie set, Duke.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
These politicians and these phony activists, and they made North Dakota pay for it. And they accused Trump of saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that kind of did it. And no, they didn't kind of do
it.
They did do it to the tune of $35 million. But when I say they kind of got away with it, it is because I am here to tell you today what really happened. You're going to be able to see behind the charade, behind the propaganda that was created, the mystique that was created on the plains of North Dakota with Indians and pretend Indians and activists and actors, all so they could get their origin stories, All so they could have this beautiful, bull caca.
Yep.
That's what it is. It is not organic. She learned along the way. She had her first hot Cheeto experience and videotaped it. No, this was all planned. And yeah, she is really good on social media. And a lot of people that, should be paying attention to that aren't. And the message is being hijacked. And the message, the real need of people in Indian country is being subverted, is being silenced, is being appropriated and disgustingly stolen for political gain. For the purposes and the means and the ends of a lot of people within these political campaigns and political actors. And also, I want to show you the screen capture of an article that talked about how Alexandria Cortez's original name is Sandy. Here it is, called The Truth About Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The inside story of how in just 1 year, see, it's not true. It didn't happen in 1 year. She planned it. She plotted it. First of all, if you have ever worked on a campaign, even at a local level, and you learn about campaigns and you learn about campaigning and you learn about how all of the, how you get someone elected and all the things you got to do. If you ever have done that, and I have, Duke has too.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever done any of that, her story is hogwash. Mm-hmm. Not even for a local campaign.
Yeah, especially a congressional one.
Are you freaking kidding me? You think we're stupid? There's no way. People that are running for, state positions like governors plan sometimes 4 or 5 years in advance. We learned that because one of, was it Amy Klobuchar's people in Minnesota here? They had a big scandal about
supporting the gubernatorial candidate. Yes.
Supporting a gubernatorial candidate with, and there were some finance issues and also, and they had been doing it for years. Mm-hmm. And it was all meant to be a run for a position as a governor. Mm-hmm. Of course, after all of this came out, that was all shot to heck. But it shows you that for a state position, you start to put things in place. You start to raise money. Mm-hmm. You start to figure out where you have yourself for years.
Yep.
And you're going to tell me that this all happened in a year?
Mm-hmm.
No. Think logically. Hell to the no. But it says, in just 1 year, and we're just supposed to swallow that pill. Okay, all right, it's happened in 1 year. Sandy, the bartender, became a lawmaker who triggers both parties. No, you buried the lead. Sandy, the bartender, became Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yep.
What? Nobody talked about it. People nearly lost their minds when Beto started calling himself Beto O'Rourke, but nobody talked about the fact that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was Sandy, and she became Alex OC. Incidentally, Alex OC, and I will share the article link for this Insider article so you can go back and look at her bio from back then again. Mm-hmm. We don't have time to go through all of this. There's a lot of information I want to touch on, and I don't have time to cover and read all these articles, but you totally should.
Yep, you can.
You totally should, and you should look at the details, especially my standing rockers. And by that, I mean any of you who have been following me since I've been reporting on what happened at Standing Rock. You guys have the most honed eyes to recognize names of organizations, names of organizers, nonprofits, blah, 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 and what these folks are connected to, who's on their boards. I mean, we really do need to look at everything kind of soup to nuts. In this article, they tell us, the Times article, by the way, they tell us that this article in Times is basically an excerpt of a book that tells the story of her trip to Standing Rock and basically her political awakening. And what's the name of the book? Can I have a picture of the book here? The Ones We've Been Waiting For. It's called The Ones We've Been Waiting For: How a New Generation of Leaders Will Transform America. Wait a minute. You don't think that was planned, do you, Duke? Do you suppose that without even knowing that this woman was going to eventually end up running for Congress and become famous, that there was somebody just writing this book?
Yep, it was a 10-month plan to change America in 10 months. Even to raise the money to run for Congress in 10 months is, quite a feat, And to have that, so it's like the ones we've been waiting for, how a new generation of leaders will transform America.
Right. Again, very suspect for me. Here's a video from the Time article that shows you, basically, it's a little summary of what is in this book about her trip to Standing Rock and what's available on social media. And here it goes.
All right, here we go. Hey, we're leaving now.
I recently wrote a book about the forces that shaped millennial politics. It's called The Ones We've Been Waiting For. And over the course of reporting out this book, I found a series of Facebook videos on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's personal Facebook page that showed her journey to Standing Rock in late 2016, before she was running for office.
We think we figured out a way to live stream without getting lost.
At this point, she's a bartender. She's not a politician. She hasn't yet gotten a call that she's going to be running for Congress. So these videos are from the last moments before AOC became a public figure. Standing Rock Reservation was the site of a big showdown between indigenous environmental protesters and a private oil company who wanted to build a pipeline near sacred indigenous land. AOC and her friends decided to take a road trip to Standing Rock to deliver supplies and to stand in solidarity with some of the environmental protesters that were resisting the pipeline. On their way to Standing Rock, they go to Flint, and this is where they really get to see how environmental degradation and racial justice intersect with each other.
Their children are suffering cognitive disorders because their government didn't tell them that their water was poisoned.
AOC's journey to Standing Rock is really the moment when she starts to put together all the dots. That climate change and racial justice and economic inequality and indigenous rights are all part of the same problem, and therefore have to have a holistic solution. So these videos of her on a road trip with her friends actually give us a glimpse into the first inklings of her environmental awareness, which will ultimately become one of the defining issues of her political identity.
Hello, everyone. We made it here to Washington, D.C.
One reason that AOC has been so powerful in the last 2 years is that she seems to have this total mastery of social media.
I wanted to take you all behind the scenes.
Nearly 2 decades into the 21st century, being able to communicate effortlessly through Twitter or Instagram or Facebook is absolutely essential to building a political movement. It's almost like FDR being good on the radio or Kennedy being good on television. You just can't get political traction without it.
We out here.
There are lots of politicians who are good at social media, but there's a real argument to be made that AOC is probably the best. And these videos really give us a sense of how she got so comfortable in this medium and why it's something that comes so naturally to her.
There is space for change, and there is space for growth.
So these videos reveal AOC at a critical moment, just as she's developing her deep understanding of environmental justice and finding her voice on social media. Both would define her political career.
You engineer that whole thing.
Yeah.
She didn't, why couldn't you just find stuff in her history that validated that she had developed her ideas about the intersection of native people's rights and climate change and all of this other crap that she stuck together in this trip, racial, environmental, whatever, the trip, all the stuff that she did, right? To Flint but Flint was much more of a destination for poverty porn for these politicians and activists than it was ever aha moment along the way. This was planned. This was engineered. So was Standing Rock. And so were the careers or fake careers that launched. Why is it that this one bartender named Sandy from the East Coast that's running for Congress gets more notoriety starting right then, right in the very beginning of everything, than anybody else that ran all across the country? Why were there people writing books about her? There's a documentary on Netflix. How, Sway? How? Because, you know what? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I just don't believe. It's not possible, for one. You can't do that all, shove it into a road trip and go, these are her first inklings. She started, really? Wouldn't it have been better if she had a history of caring about the climate or climate change or activism in any of these areas that she just had an epiphany about all in one road trip?
Yep.
It would be easier to believe than, oh, she was just a wild-eyed college student bartending and decided to go on a road trip and try hot Cheetos, and she had cheese curds in Minnesota for the first time, and then smack dab in the middle of Standing Rock into a armed conflict with the authorities. That's what it says. You got to read it for yourself, but it says she went down a closed road during a period of time when people got snowed in and were in danger of dying at Standing Rock because of the weather conditions, because of the blizzard that happened. People weren't being told or recommended to go to Standing Rock, but she was. She was recommending people to go to Standing Rock, which I think is incredibly irresponsible. And what she was saying and doing were very appropriative. Because you literally used a native camp, mostly orchestrated by you and all of your friends, you and all your political friends, and all these NGOs and groups connected to the work that you're going to help pass laws for in Congress. And you did all of this for your own political career so that you could have a story to tell on the stump that would make people go, oh my goodness, she's so woke. Look, she's so small and so woke. How did she get so woke? Oh my gosh, there's a book about it. What's the book called? I want to go buy the book. The ones we've been waiting for. And here's a Times article. And I know there's a lot of people out there that like AOC. I'm sorry to shatter your dreams. Her real name is Sandy, and all of it is a lie, okay? It's like when I had to tell my kids there was no Santa Claus. It's better to rip it off like a Band-Aid. I'm just going to tell you, because here's the thing. I'm not going to keep quiet about it. I am going to dissect every bit of the information that this Sandy has finally put out, because she didn't want us to know about it before. Now she's acomodadita, she's all comfortable in Congress, and so now she's like, go ahead, release it. Release the lie. Who does that? Who does that? And it made me angry to know that this woman was working closely with people that were helping to prop up her career in this theatrical presentation they called Standing Rock, they called water protecting, while on native land in one of the reservations of the poorest people in the whole country. In the whole country. They used it as a backdrop for their campaign. They used it as a backdrop for their origin story so they could, and they wanted the backdrop to be teepees. They wanted the backdrop to be teepees. Doesn't matter if they came from Burning Man. Because some of the stuff did come from Burning Man. All I'm saying is, I don't know what's more racist. What do you think? To me, that's like, wow. And then, of course, they try to prop themselves up like, oh, no, but we're the good guys.
Yeah. It's about the same level, the Burning Man appropriation. But also, they're grabbing the visuals and stuff that sell, the whole appropriation of native culture to be a backdrop from Hollywood, it sells, and I don't know why this is being released now. I don't know what's coming out next with her, but we're going to see more stuff coming out. And we're going to make those connections even stronger. And I know that you have a lot of connections why this all happened and why it's being released now. But it, like you said, there's going to be several shows. This is one of several.
Okay. Now, let's go to the Time article, which is part of the book. The book has a chapter in it that is all about this. And it has more detail than is in the Times article, which I guess is supposed to be a motivator for you to buy this book. I was able to obtain the chapter in which she appears, from which this Times article is excerpted. And in it, they talk about why she went to Standing Rock. And it had to do with the Trump election happening. And just so you can see it yourself, this is from the article. It says, amid the doom and gloom, Alexandria and her bartending buddy, Maria Swisher. Why don't you call her Sandy? Her name was Sandy. Mm-hmm. She changed it just for Standing Rock. You think she wasn't going to run? She was doing all of this posting from an account called Alex OC. She wasn't branding herself? Going back to that?
Oh, yeah.
You don't think? Huh? Oh, yeah. That's what she was doing. And then it says, they decided they needed to get out of their bubble. Does this woman come from New York? Doesn't she come from New York?
Yep.
Bubble? Okay. They wanted to hear from people outside New York to get a sense of how Trump's election could have happened. A road trip to Standing Rock, they figured, could bring them some answers. How the hell does that?
How is that connected to Trump getting elected,
Exactly.
That's North Dakota.
How is the Trump election connected to Standing Rock? Because there is an answer. There is a freaking answer to that question, and it is this. It was staged. Her campaign is directly connected to Trump's election. She's telling you that. Not me. That's what she said. They're like, we were sitting there in New York going, how in the heck did Trump get elected amid the doom and gloom? So everyone's like holding their innards going, Trump got elected. And they're like, I know what we'll do. Let's go to Standing Rock and find the answers. There's a reason for that, folks, because all of the people that were concocting campaigns to impeach Trump, to resist Trump, to all of these things that came to be the Asylum Seeker Caravan Support Network, now the Border Support Network, it started here at Standing Rock. It started at Standing Rock. And so, that's why she tells you that it is Trump's election that triggered her trip to Standing Rock. And there she found the answers to why Trump got elected. How does anybody that went to Standing Rock connected to why, or answering that question? Do you have any idea what the hell that even means? No. In this article, in the book, she is talking about this being her awakening. You will hear words like her first inklings, her awakening. Okay, here it is. It's from the book. I'm going to read it to you. Ocasio-Cortez often mentions her journey to Standing Rock as a pivotal moment of political awakening. Over the course of reporting my book, The Ones We've Been Waiting For, I found hours of previously unreported live video footage of her road trip to Standing Rock, posted to her personal Facebook page under a slightly different name. Yeah.
Fake account.
Her name was Sandy, and she posted it on an account that said Alex OC. Completely different from her name. Okay. Sorry. The trip opened her eyes to the connection between environmental degradation and racial injustice, a link which underpins her Green New Deal plan, and the live stream, which represents the most comprehensive account of this moment in her life, displays a growing mastery of social media communication that would ultimately take her from unknown activist to progressive celebrity. Hey, you left out reporter because she said she was a reporter and wanted to get press credentials at Standing Rock. And if this was her beginning as a politician, then before that she was a bartender. When was she an activist? Was it just during the week she was at Standing Rock?
Yeah, when was that?
So, like, wait a minute. If I get a costume and put it on for a day, do I get to call myself that? Because, I get it. A lot of people at Standing Rock were doing that. Saying they were veterans when they weren't. Saying they were medics when they weren't. Saying they were police officers or law enforcement when they weren't. All sorts of things. So what does that mean? How did she get from 0 to 60? How does she go from inklings of a wide-eyed, doe-eyed politician, activist, bartender, Sandy, AOC, to I'm an expert at indigenous connections between indigenous rights and the degradation of the environment and racial justice, and ta-da, Green New Deal.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, it didn't happen in a road trip. Okay? Let's just be clear about that. It did not happen in a road trip. I don't care what you say. Let's look at where she was. The Time vet camp picture. There is a picture, there's many pictures in this Times article of where they stayed. When these are from her Instagram. This is the picture itself. I'm going to show you the caption underneath the picture in a little bit from her Instagram post. But I want you to take a really close look. This is the veterans camp. I want you to take a very close look at what you see in the pictures. These are people that she was with and with whom she had as guides that stayed with her. And she says that herself and the people include one of the people that made a false, was working with those who made false accusations against Kathleen Bennett, and gave me an interview in which he also derided Kathleen Bennett and said he had been a witness to her bringing her mother to the camp, something he did not think was a good idea. This man, Armando Tellez, is in her Instagram photos as well, and is in, I believe, the maybe the Times article or the book. So we know that she was at the veterans camp. She takes a picture of the veterans camp, and if you look at the most prominent thing in this picture, what is it? What would you say is the thing that stands out the most to you?
The flag.
It looks like a big flag. At least that's what it looks like. It's got white and red stripes, like, the American flag, except that we don't see the other part. And it comes down.
It's draped over a tent.
It's draped over a tent, so it comes down rather than, it makes the stripes vertical, right? You see those right there, a bunch of wood, and there's some like army tent style looking things, right? This is where the veterans were staying. And I want to show you a picture from the time of Standing Rock, which is right when this was going on, because you and I went to this camp a number of times, Duke, right?
Oh, yeah.
The veterans camp didn't exist in November.
Right.
It wasn't there. Okay? It wasn't like, oh, this scene you see before you in this picture that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez happened to take at camp, that was there the entire year and change that the camp existed. No, things progressed, things changed all the time. Camps were raised, camps were taken down. Kitchens were put up here, the thing grew and it moved like an animal. The veterans didn't come until December.
Yep.
So none of that stuff was even there until right around the time that Sandy decided to go to Standing Rock. And I'll show you who was there when Sandy decided to go to Standing Rock. Evan Duke, the felon, the one that was recently arrested in Seattle for rioting. The one I told you was stopped at the border and is the founder of the Border Support Network. The founder, let me repeat, of the Border Support Network. All the way to the left, Evan Duke. And you see what's behind him? What is that?
The flag that was in the picture.
The flag that was in the picture, in the article. Right?
Right.
See, folks that read this little fluff piece and go out and buy the book, the ones we were waiting for, and they're like, oh, look, the heroes of the future. Those folks are going to look at all of these pictures and feel the romantic feelings that they feel for Westerns and Indians movies. It's like, ooh, cool, there's a white girl wearing a war bonnet. Oh, I feel like I'm watching Coachella. But the reality is that for somebody like me, when I look at this stuff, I'm like, oh my God. So that's why you never released all of this stuff, because you didn't want people to know you were hanging out with the felon Antifa. Remember when they asked her about Antifa? Remember when they asked her about the terrorist, the domestic terrorist who tried to bomb an ICE facility, an ICE detention facility with migrants inside of it? And he ended up getting killed, and they went and asked AOC, hey, AOC, do you think that person, this Antifa guy, you think, who was Evan's friend, who Evan knew, I showed you all of this in my previous shows, that guy right there, that she was hanging out with in their camp. They asked AOC, is that guy a domestic terrorist? She's like, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And she was off. You know why? She couldn't tell you? Because she's friends with Antifa. She's friends with all these people. That's where her political awakening happened.
Mm-hmm.
She is so clever. She is so careful to not let anybody really know. Not let anybody really know. But I will tell you. And let's look at a picture again because I want you to see what is in the upper right-hand corner. When the veterans when the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock leader, Wes Clark Jr., had his big fake fight with Michael A. Wood Jr. over the money and over the leadership, and he left, and then he had a nervous breakdown, so he really didn't have nothing to do. When they concocted that whole nonsense out at Standing Rock, when all of that happened and all that money that they had raised, the millions of dollars, they were like, I don't have it, he has it. And they're like, no, you have it. Yeah, when all of that nonsense was going on, this group formed, Veterans Respond, or what is it called? Yes, Veterans Respond. This is the group that was formed out of the same exact people that were in the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock. And there was some other veterans group that were there, but they were kind of tangential, like Veterans for Peace, like, help me, Duke. There were other ones.
Oh, veterans this, veterans that.
There were some other ones, but they were like, they showed up and then they went and like the Sierra Club and people like that, right?
Yep.
Okay. And this is Evan posting about our resistance at Standing Rock. Okay. No, this hashtag, which later became abolish ICE or something very similar to our resistance that had to do with Occupy inauguration, and was the foundation, the basis for the Border Support Network. There's a felon veteran, Michael Marcus, who ended up getting how many years? 3 years?
Something like that, yeah.
For starting fires, for starting confrontations. These veterans that were supposed to protect the people in the camp, they were starting fires. They were criminalizing innocent people. They were terrorizing people in the camp. They were accused of taking people's supplies. They were accused of robbing each other. They were accused of bringing in weapons. Not accused. They actually brought in weapons. They were accused of bringing in drugs. They did bring in drugs. They were, and then of course, I investigated the accusation that they were involved with helping, frame an innocent woman and take away her mother. And we proved that they did that, and we exonerated Kathleen. These are people that are extremely, extremely dangerous. And Veterans Respond posts this post about the nation of change. In their post, Veterans Respond says, they don't advocate direct action protest, which means you go and you have these confrontations that are violent, that turn violent, which they do. We know they do. But they say, no, we don't do that. But we are here to serve in a humanitarian aid role. Oh, yeah. See, that's their whole cover. That's the same song and dance that they use as they insert themselves into the issue of migration. We're just here to be humanitarian. It says, our main concerns are helping with camp cleanup. Oh, yeah. It was a cleanup job.
They really messed it up, yeah.
It included forcefully removing people and taking their family members and putting them in jail like they did to Kathleen Bennett. Kathleen Bennett was not the only case. Kathleen Bennett was not the only person affected by these people and their criminal activity at camp. And they say, they make it sound really nice, and establishing more environmentally friendly solutions for the camp forward. Really? How environmentally friendly was it that you burned thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars worth of resources at the camp? The veterans, the people involved with the veterans groups, they were directly involved enclosing the camp, evacuating the camp, hurting a bunch of people, stealing a bunch of equipment, causing mayhem, damage everywhere, and burning everything at the end and trashing everything at the end. It's like they say the opposite of what they actually did.
Yep.
And it's really disturbing. And then it says hashtag hustle to heal, veterans respond. And it says this is the nation of change. And they post this nation of change post. And who is that? It's Bill Running Fisher. The guy that completely fabricated a story about Kathleen Bennett's mom being left in a teepee, naked, covered in excrement, up to her belly button, basically. Covered from head to toe in excrement and urine, but only wearing a sweater, no pants. And he said that she was zip-tied to a chair.
Yeah.
He fabricated the entire story, start to finish. There was no green army tent. There was no naked covered in feces. None of that. He made the whole thing up. This is their Nation of Change article. The person on here associated with the Veterans Respond group that Evan is in, associated with the kidnapping and early death of an elder Oglala Lakota woman. Also, they could make themselves heroes. They just randomly took the stories of people. They didn't care who they were. And they destroyed people's lives. And they took people's freedom. And what was it for? What did they do it for?
Yeah.
It was all a backdrop to their future stories, their future careers, their future campaigns, their future NGOs, media platforms, book deals, speaking tours, documentary films. The kickoff to all of it. That's what it was. The Veterans Respond post here shows tagged with LaDonna, the woman you saw in that Russian TV thing that started the whole show here, saying, I'm honored. It was quotes somebody saying, I'm honored for each veteran that has come to stand with us, to come help defend, to come help clean, to come help heal this land. This is LaDonna speaking. Here's a message from LaDonna Brable-Outer, thanking all the veterans that have come to Standing Rock. No, they didn't just thank, they planned. LaDonna, as you saw, was one of the first people reporting on this, making a call out, working logistically, operationally. So was the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock person, Wesley Clark, by his own admission. She says, thank you for all the people that donated and supported our current mission through our GoFundMe campaign. Here's a short feature video with the Veterans Respond team using donation funds, providing aid to Veterans Camp at Sacred Stone. Please take a moment to see what our teams are currently doing at camp. And so they were working directly with Phyllis Young, and keep scrolling down, please, and with LaDonna Brave Bull Allard. And it has the picture there of none other than LaDonna, Aubrey Peckham, and some dude with Veterans Respond. Both of them, Aubrey Peckham, I didn't know she was even in any kind of had any military background. I mean, I knew that she was in a motorcycle gang group called the Colorado Hookers.
She always called herself a veteran.
But I didn't know that she was a veteran. And I couldn't verify from a lot of these people's stories whether or not they were veterans.
A lot of people call themselves veterans and they weren't.
Yep. You know who else was there at the time when they were closing the camps? When LaDonna was hanging out with the Veterans Respond people? That AOC went and stayed at their camp? Well, that would have been Nathan Phillips. The Nathan Phillips that confronted the Covington Catholic school kids in the DC March.
Oh, yeah.
And remember that I told you that those people were all frauds that were part of a movie set here in Standing Rock they called Standing Rock? Yes. Let me show you what the Veterans Respond Healing Through Service put out as their warrior call. Okay? Let's look at the warrior call. And will you read that, Duke?
It's pretty small.
Yes.
It's one of those graphics that's really hard to read.
Can you read any of it?
The Warriors Call, to fight to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. Ashbury Hall at Bayville, 300, Delaware Avenue. Veterans Respond, a new national service organization formed by veterans who participated in the massive deployment at Standing Rock, North Dakota in early December, is excited to announce their special presentation, Warriors Call, the fight to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline, a one-day-only storytelling event featuring United States military veterans who stood at Standing Rock, joined by special guest Lakota Kichita warrior and leader Michael Malo Tonka. Come experience the story of these veterans' personal journeys to direct action in support of the Oseti-Shikoan natives and stand against Dakota Access Pipeline in Standing Rock just a little over 1 month ago. And it goes on. Warriors Call, the fight to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline, is the story of that journey with unflinching candor and inspiring insight. Matthew Crane, U.S. Navy, Joseph George, U.S. Air Force, Brandy Pisano, U.S. Navy, and Pueblo Laguna native Mark Sanderson, U.S. Army, Purple Heart recipient, and Neil Conway, U.S. Navy, react to external narrative of returning warrior who battles to reconcile their actions and their hearts, given by a deep desire to stand on the right side of history. With special guest Michael Mato Tonka, Ogala Lakota, descendant of Chief Red Cloud, a Kichita warrior and U.S. Marine Warriors Call reveals what brought the veterans to Standing Rock, what they brought away from Standing Rock, and what can all bring to this fight our rights in our future. Moderated actor, producer Peter Johnson, and with special guest Ann Heenley of SURJ, showing for racial justice, and the special event is a chance to
Surge, showing up for racial justice. You've heard of them before, haven't you?
Yeah. The special event is a chance to hear firsthand what our new domestic battlefields look like and how we can all heed the Warriors' Call to action.
Veterans Respond is a new service organization founded in December of 2016. They founded it when she was there.
Okay.
The camp was only there while when the veterans came, which was at the end, in December, right before they closed the camps forever. And it says they are disabled veterans who were part of the advanced team.
Yeah.
The hell does that mean? They were only there for a couple of weeks, and most of them had some kind of messed up history story, stolen valor, embellished valor. Like Nathan Phillips, who said that he was a Vietnam times war veteran.
Yeah.
He made it sound like he was in the theater of war, like he was there fighting in Vietnam, when he never left the States, when he was only serving as what appears to be a refrigerator repairman stateside, except for when he wasn't in the brig, where he went many times. And this is just Nathan's story is probably one of the tamest, because some of these other people were rapists, child molesters. There were so many pedos, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
It's literally hard to keep track. And violent, crazy criminals like Evan Duke. People that were sexually harassing women. Another one of whom lied about his military service is Ed Higgins, featured in this photo, until later when they cut him out. They edited him out of this photo because he came clean and said he never made it through boot camp because they caught him using cocaine. I mean, every single one of these bozos, every single one of these clowns came out and They had their birthing story, their awakening at Standing Rock.
Yep.
You remember this picture, Duke?
Oh, yeah.
Can you point out which one is Evan Duke? Because in case you thought that random photo I showed you, that the same flag as the Veterans Camp in the Times article isn't connected directly to Evan K. Duke, here he is with the Veterans Respond team.
Yeah, he's right above Ed Higgins on the left.
Yep. You've got,
back row all the way to the left.
what is that, a tear under his eye? Did he put a fake tattoo on his face? Or did he just put some, some weird affectation? I don't think he's wearing a loop like the Peanut Man. Is he? Like, what's going on? What the hell is that?
What else?
I don't know. Okay. And of course, Jessie L. Nicky is in the front. And just so you guys notice it, because I think she's got braids on, so it kind of throws people off. That's Tulsi Gabbard. And she took this picture with this whole stupid group of yahoos who were telling everyone they were the Forward Command, or whatever the hell they called themselves, the advanced team. They just made this crap up. They literally just made it up on the fly. I don't think that their spokesperson, what was her name? L'Oreal Shawl, was more than a private, but she was called a sergeant major at the camp. Like, everything was fake. If you wanted to play a veteran and you never served, you could embellish it or just fake it. I mean, your friends were going to vouch for you. And these people all vouched for each other, lied for each other, covered for each other. And they go on to say in this thing that, and this is a very important piece of this. So I wanted to get to they cover about, the camp and DAPL and the pipeline and blah, 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 blah. But then they say the highly trained in what? Drinking and driving? What? The highly trained Veterans Respond volunteers. Highly trained at what, I ask you?
Scamming,
fraud, assault, cyber stalking, cyber bullying, womenizing, lying about your record. What are you experts at? Highly trained at what? Well, it says here this is what their volunteers on the ground are trained with. And whom? They're on the ground at work with the Lakota tribes in Standing Rock, North Dakota, and the Carrizo Come Crudo tribes at Camp Toyahavale, Texas.
Wow.
The camp that kicked it all off with the Carrizo Come Crudo, that is now the camps where they train the activists that bring you the immigration, that bring you the undocumented migrants of the caravans, is this group of people.
Wow.
And they already had their camp that whom they were working with all the way to back then.
Wow.
It says our team of veterans are providing specialized skills training ranging from camp security.
Yeah.
You know what Bill Runningfisher of Camp Security did? He helped kidnap an elderly woman with dementia and put her in an early grave. That's what he did. That's what all of these yahoos helped to implement and support. And they took the freedom of an innocent woman for 6 months. They stayed quiet and they watched as this woman was withering away in a hospital, dying, becoming more and more sick as she was laying there abandoned and alone. And they did nothing, none of them. And they were all connected to the people that concocted the lie, that implemented the lie, that took Kathleen's freedom, that filed false police reports, that caused the environmental damage, that put the media spin and propaganda out there. It is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen in my journalistic or paralegal career, spanning more than 3 decades. And you know what? The only reason I can stomach all of this is because it taught me so much about how disgusting these people can be. And look at you with a straight face and tell you they care about indigenous people and the environment. And there's more stuff on here. I want you to notice they talk about Tulsi Gabbard because she was part of this crew. She's not getting off, not by a mile. They established a command team and an operational tactical operations center, and are assisting with safety. That's the building that they burned in the middle of the night, by the way, Duke.
Oh, yeah.
Which they had to do so that they could hide all of the secret information, protecting the water protectors and the activists.
Yeah.
Who they helped organize as mercenaries. And who was connected to this? Why, it was Tulsi Gabbard. I am honored to have met these incredible veterans who inspire as they continue their mission of service. That's the quote by Tulsi Gabbard. She's honored to meet all of these child molesters, rapists, and criminals, Antifa-connected leaders who hate our country. That's, you're proud of that. Okay, cool. And I guess so is AOC, because now she's finally let all of this come out so people can see what she was who she was hanging with, what she was doing. Here is a digital smoke signals post. Let us not forget who else was out there with the veterans.
That's right.
One of the other people also on the Department of Homeland Security's watch list for bringing in undocumented people, for smuggling humans with the caravan, Myron Dewey of Digital Smoke Signals. Here he is featuring people from Veterans Respond and the groups of people that were there with and around the time of AOC. And who is in that picture right at the very top? Holding the white flag with the beard. It's Evan Duke. That's Evan Duke. And you know who's standing over next to him holding that circle thing? That is Carlos Marroquin. That is Carlos Marroquin. He's also in the photograph pictured with Chase Iron Eyes, who ran for Congress in North Dakota. You remember that guy, don't you, Duke?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember who Carlos Marroquin is? Because, you know, up until this point, Sandy, or AOC, as she dubbed herself, was working as, she was working on the Bernie Sanders campaign. Okay. Like she had been working on the Bernie Sanders campaign. She had been a bartender, but she hadn't kicked off her political career, we're supposed to believe.
Yeah.
But who is that? Carlos Marroquin. Do you remember? Do you remember his face? Does he look familiar to you?
A little bit.
Well, he should, because he's been involved with the actress that started the the bus school for the migrant children.
Oh, okay.
Estefania Rebelon. The Hollywood actress that was in Tijuana raising money for a bus that she never took to the location that she said she was going to put it in. No, in fact, Carlos Marroquin and Estefania Rebelon, they raised money for the bus that they took to Mark Lane's shelter of Minority Humanitarian Foundation and Bertie Gutierrez and more of the people working with Evan Duke of the Border Support Network, working with the crooked lawyers of Al Otro Lado, working with the people that are illegally bringing people here, lying to the people in the caravan, telling them false information about asylum claims, making fake marriages, kidnapping unaccompanied minors, all of the things I have reported to you that they have been involved with. Carlos Marroquin is part of that. He's part of the board of Yes We Can, that organization raising money with Estefania Rebelon. But that's not all he is. He is also the strategist and organizer at Bernie Sanders' brigade. He worked for Bernie Sanders, too. Wow. And guess what? He was there with the veterans at Standing Rock. You think it's a coinkydink that all these people connected to the Bernie Sanders campaign are all at Standing Rock having their awakening at the same time? What are they, all vampires? They rise and sleep and rise at the same time? How is this happening? Duke, I want to know.
Yeah, I want to know too.
It's just weird, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here from the article, I want to just show you what else she talked about in this Times article, in the book that we're going to share later on. Here's the Times brand new Congress mention. She says, after Donald Trump's victory in 2016, New York was in a deep funk. The subway was full of people wincing at the news alerts on their phones, as if they were looking directly into the sun. No, it doesn't say that. Coffee shops were full of depressed conversations about what had gone wrong and why they hadn't seen it coming. And just after the election, Gabriel Ocasio-Cortez, that's Sandy's brother, sat in his car during a rainstorm and typed a letter on his phone nominating his sister Alexandria to run for office with an upstart liberal organization called the Brand New Congress. Neither of them thought anything would come of it. They had no idea. Oh, they were so filled with joy. It was just such a surprise. Gabriel mostly did it just to pass the time in the rainstorm. He was bored. You know why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is in Congress now? Because her brother Gabrielle was bored one day.
And he wrote a letter.
His phone must not have been working or something because, oh, wait, his phone was what he wrote the letter on. And you couldn't surf the internet instead? We're supposed to believe this all happened organically. And of course, here's a Mike article that shares with you that TYT, the Young Turks, one of the only other mainstream media or, media that was dedicating a correspondent, Jordan Sheridan, they're a brand new correspondent. They never even had correspondents. And he got to be the first one. And he was devoted exclusively to Standing Rock. And Cenk Uygur was reporting with Standing Rock. And Wes Clark, he raised the money through Cenk Uygur's TYT, over $2.2 million, to take the Veterans Respond. The veterans stand for Standing Rock to Standing Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And what does it say that this group that she had no idea was going to actually choose her? Who are they connected to? Bernie Sanders and Cenk Uygur. Where did it go? Cenk Uygur, Bernie Sanders, staffers team, they team up to take over the Democratic Party. And in this article, and Nemo can share the article with you, you'll have to do some homework there. It says, a progressive journalist, former staffer for Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign, and political organizers have launched Justice Democrats, crowdfunded political action committee to remove and replace corporate-aligned factions of the Democratic Party, they said, has led it to the election disaster with the election of Republican President Donald Trump. In a phone interview, the Young Turks host Cenk Uygur, board member on the project, said the goal of Justice Democrats is to run hundreds of Democratic candidates in 2018 who do not take corporate money and serve the voters rather than the donors, as well as captured a significant amount of Congress with strong progressives and overpower the corporate Democrats. So Sanders and Cenk Uygur teamed up, okay? And Justice Democrats partners with senior leadership from Sanders' presidential campaign, including Sanders' director of organizing technology, Saikat Chakrabarti. That's important. Put that in your thinking cap for later. Sanders staffer and MoveOn.org fundraiser Zach Exley and secular talk host Kyle Kulinski. It is partnering with Brand New Congress, a Sanders-supported organized group that intends to help Justice Democrats recruit and train hundreds of non-career politician candidates. So it's not that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wasn't always a career politician planning on it. She just needed to look like she wasn't. That's, hence Sandy the bartender.
Yeah.
Right? And Kyle Kulinski tweets about it. So I'm going to go more into all of this stuff because we really do need to look very carefully at this, because said platform, Justice Democrats, includes a constitutional amendment to ban super PACs and reform campaign financing, regulate Wall Street financial institutions, and end favorable tax treatments for billionaires and for corporations, and to embrace universal health care and education, among other progressive goals. According to the FEC filing, you guys listening? According to the FEC filing, Justice Democrats is registered as a hybrid PAC. You know what that is, Duke?
No.
A PAC with non-contribution account. A non-contribution account. Non-qualified. A sort of next generation super PAC that offers greater flexibility.
Oh.
Justice Democrats completely supports but is unaffiliated with Our Revolution, who Myron Stewie's wife is on the board of and one of the founding members on. Our Revolution, a similar group that saw mass resignations after Sanders' campaign's chief, Jeff Weaver, joined as its president, said Cenk Uygur. Justice Democrats were not opposed to backing candidates with some prior political experience, but its intent to focus on fresh non-politicians with a different vision for the party. Our strength will be determined by the votes. So they're telling you what the play was right here in this article. You can go and read the rest of it for yourselves. We're going to talk more about that FEC rules later too, because AOC's already got questions about when she was on the board of one of these groups and when she was funding her campaign. And did those two things intersect? Because I think that's a violation. So we're going to dissect that later down the road. But I wanted to share with you that there is, we're going to skip over the chapter in the book here.
Okay.
Which is about the pilgrimage of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and go right to the setup at camp. This is again from the Times article, and it says, the plan was to drive through New Jersey and Pennsylvania and head to Cleveland, Ohio, where they would crash with one of Alexandria's friends from college. After Ohio, they were going to Flint, Michigan, down through Indiana, and up to Minneapolis. And then they would leave Minnesota and go to Standing Rock with what, Duke?
Cheetos.
No. Flaming Cheetos, yes. Also, what else? It's right there in the blue.
They would leave Minneapolis and get to Standing Rock with enough sunlight.
With enough sunlight
to set up camp.
With enough, that makes sense, right, Duke? Because you wouldn't go to camp in the middle of the night. That would be stupid because especially in a wintertime, because how would you set up your tent or find a place to sleep in the dark?
Or run over somebody that's camping,
Right. So let's just go back to the Time article. It says very clearly, the plan is show up at night, show up in the daylight with enough daylight. And they were going to stay for 3 days and 2 nights. Okay. So let's go to the video from her Facebook page. We're going to show you Alex OC Facebook page here in a second. But I want you to see the video from the moment where she shows up at camp. Listen for yourselves. She's going to tell you, hi, everybody. We just showed up at camp. This should be beautiful, bright, sunlit afternoon, right? Rotate. Arrival at camp, Standing Rock, AOC.
Our way. So it's very dark right now. You guys probably can't see anything, but just the audio is that we just got to camp. We're about to go meet with one of the directors of the Women's Council here who invited us. So they're playing flute right now at camp at Sacred Fire, and that's where we are headed right now. I wish that you guys could see this. It's really beautiful. We're driving down a road that is flanked with flags from all the different tribes that are here, I assume. And it's a lot. It's a lot of them. Here's the Sacred Fire. Oh, are we not supposed to drive here?
She says, are we not supposed to be driving here? Yeah, you could run someone over.
Are we not supposed to drive?
She can't tell. Who drives in a camp that was as full of people as this place was? Thousands and thousands of people.
Yep, at night.
At night, when you can't see. This isn't a place that
There's
has...
still so many people here. There's so many people.
Yeah, and you're...
There's so many people. It's not empty. It is not empty at all. And we're still driving through more flags. I don't know where it ends. The flags don't end. And the stars. The stars are so bright. Especially for a New Yorker. Oh my God. I don't know though. This is probably the brightest stars I've ever seen. Alright, maybe on some mountains I've been on, but just one last goodbye. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Okay, go back to the beginning of this video.
I'll be telling you all about it soon.
Listen to what she's about to say, okay? Before you start it, she says, we're about to meet up with... So, you're going to go in the middle of the night to... I can hardly hear myself now. You're going to go in the middle of the night to a camp where the people are probably sleeping. It's dark.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't lights out there. There wasn't like light posts and light shining on the road so you could see where you were going. This is not a good idea to be driving around in the camp at night. So for them to show up there at night would be stupid and dangerous unless everything was already planned.
True.
And she says, and she's like, it is so beautiful here. There are so many people. There's no way in hell, and anybody that went there will tell you this. There is no way in hell that in the darkness, in the pitch darkness that you experience at that camp, that you could be able to tell the dimensions of the camp, how far the tents went, how close they were to the road, the flag road, how beautiful the camp was. You can't see any of that at night. There was no way. I believe she must have been there earlier, made arrangements, and then went to the casino to hang out where all of the other people from Hollywood, politics, and all of her buddies, Jordan Sheridan, TYT people, all of the veterans people were hanging out and drinking and smoking and drugging and prostituting. That's where they were all at. Mm-hmm. And then she came back when it was pitch black, which was not her plan. The book doesn't say that. The Times article doesn't say that. But the reality bears out that she didn't go there when she was supposed to. She got there in the middle of the night. And then this is the most interesting part. There are 3 or 4 videos, live streams that she does from the camp in total. For all of this road trip being for her awakening at Standing Rock, she did a piss poor job as a reporter. And I'm saying that in air quotes because she's not a reporter. But she got media credentials. Her and her buddies, all 2 bartenders and a photographer. And I use that term loosely because I've seen his Instagram page. Seriously, go look at his Instagram page. It's funny. Their names are in there, and they're all this stuff is in there. So go check it out, for God's sake. Go check out the Instagram pages of Maria Swisher and Joshua Pereira, the people that traveled with Alexandria. Go to Alex OC on Facebook. Go check all of that out. But and screenshot everything and download everything that you can. Please, 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 please begin doing that right away. Because it's going to be very important. But what she says is very, very little. She does literally 3 or 4 videos. And then at the end, as she's leaving the camp, she says, "Hey, everybody, guess what? Sorry we couldn't live stream very much while we were here. It was horrible. You can't live stream from the camp. It's kind of impossible. But don't worry, we're going to have a lot of video and a lot of pictures, so much information, and we're going to share it with everybody." And then they never did until this book.
Yep.
You think they just saved it for the book, honey?
No, not at all. It's obvious that they are coming out with this now, and they're using it to bolster whatever it is they're trying to do. Is it just for the sale of a book? I don't think so. I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think that's what she's involved in proposing, who she's working with. They're just timing it for right now.
Why would you not talk about something that literally launched your career and shaped your entire political platform and your views on indigenous rights, on climate change, on your Green New Deal, on veterans, on the whole enchilada, and you didn't? I feel like the court scene with Jack Nicholson, where he's the military guy that's being interrogated by Tom Cruise, where he says, you know, they're talking about the guy that they send home. He's like asking questions. So how many suits did you bring on this trip? And he's like, he's getting really mad because he's asking about his shoes and his trip and how many phone calls he made. And he's like, yeah. And this guy, you were sending him off the island and he didn't tell a soul and he didn't phone a friend and he didn't pack a single outfit.
Yep.
There's nothing printed, published on the radio, in a podcast, on a blog. Nothing. You don't tell the world about Swisher or Joshua. You don't tell anybody about anything having to do with your trip to Standing Rock until 4 years later? When it's the basis for the Green New Deal, it's the basis for everything you did?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Why would you keep it all hidden? Like there's something to hide. I don't know. Well, let me show you. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also didn't want to mention who she's going to meet. She's like, we're about to go meet a person.
Yeah.
Listen to how she thinks about it, and she's like, I'm not going to tell them who it is. And then she says, a person from the Women's Society. Y'all remember who was with the Women's Society?
Oh, yeah. Melanie Stoneman.
The kidnapper. The person that put Mary in a hospital, who put Mary in an early grave, and took away Kathleen Bennett's freedom. Listen very carefully to who she says she's going to go meet at the camp. Play tape. Here we go.
Yeah, on our way. So So it's very dark right now. You guys probably can't see anything, but just the audio is that we just got to camp. We're about to go meet with one of the directors of the Women's Council here who invited us. So,
Who invited us?
We're playing flute right now at camp at Sacred Fire, and that's where we are headed right now. I wish that you guys could see this. It's really beautiful. We're driving down a road that is flanked with flags from all the different tribes that are here, I assume.
You assume.
It's a lot of them. Here's the Sacred Fire. Oh, are we not supposed to drive here? There it is. Are we not supposed to drive?
Okay. You heard that, right?
Yep.
Of the Women's Council. One of the people that was associated with this Women's Council at the camp that was directly involved with this veteran security teams that were part of the cleanup, as they themselves told you in their warrior call out, had this family of Indian people forcibly removed. They made up a lie. They said Kathleen abused her mother, took her mother away. And you know what? It looks like the housing that AOC received, a tarpy with a wood-burning stove, looks almost identical to the handful of tarpies that were available for people like Kathleen Bennett and Mary Trujillo at that camp. I shudder to think that AOC and her team of curious cross-country road trippers didn't displace Indigenous people rather than go and stand in support of them. I shudder to think that, because that's exactly what happened to Kathleen Bennett at the time when the very people she was with were at the camp doing just what I just said, removing people forcibly by any means necessary, which as it turns out in Kathleen Bennett's case meant taking her mother away and putting her in jail.
Yep.
And falsely accusing her. And let me just share one other tidbit. Here is Alexandria's Facebook page. So you can go and check it out. Hoover up all that information. She named herself Alex OC.
Oh.
This is her weird Facebook page that she has. There's not a lot of videos on it. And here's Joshua's, the guy that went with her. This is Joshua's page.
Huh.
I want you to look at his friends list. Because he doesn't have a lot of friends. This is not going to take long. Svetlana Volkova, Anya Karaloyova. Okay, hold on. Katrina Koknia. Okay. Then you have from Zurich, Laura Lazdane. Keep going. Susana Sandoval. Susana Sandoval is one of the people that is interviewed by AOC at the camp. Sally Swisher may be related to her friend that went with her to the camp. Ilya Perevedentsev. Keep going. Monica Simona Kaptur. Stanislaw Yadzinski. AOC.
Yeah.
Sensya Samaraskaya. I can't do the... Maria Swisher, the friend that went with her.
Yeah.
Her friend Rebecca Swisher. Armando Tellez, the veteran that was one of her guides at the camp. Keep going. Kamyarko Jodi. and Natasha Popova.
Huh.
Now, we just went through the whole friends list.
Yeah.
Just like I told you, he didn't have a lot of friends, but boy, does he know a lot of people that have Russian-sounding names, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
a lot of people. I thought, there's them Russians again.
Yeah.
And just so you know, AOC, even though she, all of a sudden in the middle of the night, her and her friends from the bar were like, hey, let's go. She was promoting them since November, long before she went out to the camp. Here's her post from November 23rd, which is literally at the same time that Christina Hollenbeck is showing up at the camp.
Wow.
To cause her shenanigans, remember?
Yeah.
And what does she say? Hey, for all my friends celebrating Thanksgiving, please consider helping those at Standing Rock in their time of thanks and gratitude toward Native people. An organizer on site, who? Christina Hollenbeck, the pimp?
Yeah.
Whose work is featured in the Vogue video, has requested some badly needed supplies and services listed. An unlocked T-Mobile compatible smartphone, SD cards, digital camera, video cameras, graphic designers, printers, camp cots, burning stove. Okay, that does not sound like casual camp gear.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're suiting up some kind of special task force.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
she says there's a GoFundMe for it,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. And she's calling the protesters there water protectors. Like, she's got this stuff down already.
Yeah.
A month before, she's already talking about all of this. And then if you go to the very bottom, you'll see there was a article link to the Vogue article about stories from Standing Rock.
Huh.
And we will, next time that I have a show, we will show you more about this Vogue article. But I'm going to show you a short clip of a video clip from the article that they posted. It gives you a brief idea of what's in it. Here we go. Scenes from Standing Rock. A teepee. Another teepee. A sign. A tent. Someone chopping wood. Why is it choppy and it doesn't have any sound? It's really weird. It's not playing properly, and it has no sound. Scenes. That's doing the same thing. You know what? I am just going to let it play through, and hopefully we'll see the image. I'm hoping will come up here. Shows some little girls dancing. That woman right there. That woman right there. Stop it. That woman right there that shows up in this Vogue article isn't just some organizer. She pretends that Sandy pretends she doesn't know any of the people there. She just showed up and she met this indigenous organizer.
Okay.
They have nothing to do with each other. She happened to stay at the veterans camp, which had just been built. Hadn't even been there before. And she shows up and she gets to stay right with those people. Just by luck, right?
Right.
I don't buy it. So we're going to talk about all of these folks that I brought up to you that were there. And we're going to talk more in detail next time on my show about what she was doing and who she was doing it with. We'll get more details and we'll talk more about this whole setup and how Sandy went to Standing Rock. On another Mexican Crossing Lines with your host, Sandy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
Thank you for watching and thank you for sharing. As always, this has been a education for all of us. And I hope that you guys will join me in gathering as much information and helping me prepare for my upcoming shows. Have a great night and thank you for being with us.